if you're going to the gym, chances are you want to build some muscle mass. You want that aesthetic, lean physique, so you start lifting weights. Good, that's what you're supposed to do in order to achieve that goal. But there are still a lot of things to consider that will help you reach that goal a lot easier than simply picking things up and putting them down again. So I'm going to cover 5 things you need to know to build more muscle mass. So first off, we're going to cover training. Now, to build muscle mass, you need to lift weights. That's pretty obvious, but what's less obvious for a lot of people is how you should train in order to build muscle mass effectively. Now, it's not just about lifting weights. Primarily, when it comes to building muscle mass, it's about lifting more weight over time, because that's what actually promotes growth. Now, if you go to the gym every day but lift the same amount of weight to the same amount of volume month after month, your muscles will have no reason to grow, because they adapt to the stimulus that you give it. So instead, apply progressive overload to your training. This means that you will have to create an increase in volume in one of the following ways. Increase the weight with the smallest possible increment, so for example adding 5 pounds to the bar. Increase the reps that you're performing, so for example performing 6 reps instead of 5. Increase the sets that you're performing, so 4 instead of 3. Increase the number of exercises, so 3 per muscle group instead of 2. Decrease the tempo of your lifts, so for example a 3-second drop of the bar instead of 2 seconds, which in other words would mean an increased time under tension. Or lastly, decrease the rest time, so taking 1 minute of rest instead of 2 minutes. Now these last 3 are pretty hard to apply, since eventually it'll mean you're doing either too much exercises or inhibiting your progress with the rest time and tempo. So the first 3 options are most likely your best options. Now of course you can't always keep making progress, so eventually you would have to take a deload week. Now this is a week where you decrease volume and intensity for 1 week, which allows you to recover from the intense 7 or 8 weeks of training in order to allow for more progression afterwards. Now a proper progression graph would look something like this. Now besides progressing, it's also in your best interest to pick a training routine that stimulates the muscle protein synthesis process frequently throughout the week, since that is the time period where your muscles are recovering and growing. MPS, or muscle protein synthesis, lasts for about 48 to 72 hours, so in terms of achieving close to optimal growth, your best bet will be to train every muscle group anywhere from 2 to 3 times per week. Now you can do this in numerous ways, as I've also covered in my video what is the best training split, which I'll link in the cards in the top right corner and in the description. So besides training harder over time, it's also important to have your nutrition in check. So if you want to build more muscle mass, then be sure to eat enough calories to promote muscle growth. You need to be in a caloric surplus to ensure your muscles can repair and build upon the damage you've created during your training. Now to go a little bit more in depth, when you lift weights, you're creating micro tears in your muscles, which need to be repaired and will grow through what we would like to call supercompensation. So figure out your maintenance calories, which is the amount of calories you can eat to maintain your exact body weight, and then add anywhere from 200 to 400 calories on top of that to ensure you're in a caloric surplus. In order for your muscles to grow, they simply require energy, and you have to give your body an excess of energy in order for that energy to be used to promote muscular growth. But of course, besides a caloric surplus, you also need enough protein. So for a general recommendation, I'd like to advise you to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Or, if you're in a metric system, 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. That way you will have enough protein in your body to provide the building blocks for muscle growth and recovery. Now let's talk about sleep. This is actually way more important than some of you might think. Some people neglect their sleep, while it can definitely make a big difference to your results in the long term, and even short term as well. Now, as we've gone over when we talked about nutrition, the micro tears in your muscles from working out need to be repaired. This happens primarily when we sleep. So you need to maximize your sleeping duration, which would optimally be a minimum of 6 to around a maximum of 8 hours per night. But duration isn't the only thing you should focus on. The quality of your sleep can also greatly impact your results. Now to touch more on this, everyone and their neighbor either watch TV, scroll through Instagram or watch YouTube videos until it's time to hit the sack. Now, this exposure to blue light, which comes from our screens, actually messes up the ability for your body to produce melatonin. Now, melatonin is a hormone that our body makes during the day, which, if properly able to produce, will signal our bodies it's getting closer to nighttime and thus time for bed. And if you're constantly looking at a screen at night, you're making it harder and harder for your body to realize it's time to make some sleeping gains. Now, there are some things you can do to counter this if you really can't stop being on your phone or behind your laptop at night. There is something that's called a blue light filter, which makes the colors of your screen a bit warmer, which takes a lot of the actual blue light out of it. Now, of course, it would be better to just cut the screen time off about an hour before sleeping, but if that's not an option, then a blue light filter can be a solid thing to use at night. Another thing that can also really mess with either your ability to fall asleep or the quality of your sleep in general is caffeine. Now, don't get me wrong, especially for working out, caffeine can be a great stimulant. Since it is a central nervous system stimulant, it can be very effective to take to have more energy in general and perhaps have a more effective workout. But if you take it too close to bedtime, it will inhibit your ability to fall asleep or mess with the quality. Caffeine has a half-life duration of about 6 hours. So that means if you take an energy drink, a caffeine capsule or pre-workout, 6 hours later there is still half of that amount of caffeine in your blood. So in order to maximize the quality and ability to fall asleep, you're best off cutting your caffeine intake at around 4 p.m. Now, for some people that might not be an option since you work out at night, but for that situation I generally recommend to get caffeinated pretty early in the day so that you don't have to take caffeine later on in the day. Now, if you still have trouble falling asleep, perhaps try figuring out a good bedtime routine for yourself. Now, whether that's taking a warm shower to relax, meditating for bed, doing some stretching, find out what works best for you to be able to sleep like a bodybuilder should be doing. And then comes a very important one, stress. Believe it or not, if you're constantly stressed out due to your work, personal issues and so forth, you're actually inhibiting your potential progress in the gym. When we stress out, our body produces the hormone cortisol. Now, cortisol is what we would like to call a gym rat's worst enemy when it comes to both building muscle or losing fat. Now, when your cortisol levels get too high, it can mess with your sleep, cause fatigue and tiredness. It can cause a bad immune system, increase appetite since ghrelin, which is the hormone that causes hunger, goes up in response to the increase of cortisol. It can decrease libido, put you in a bad mood, make you anxious and so forth. All in all, cortisol is your worst enemy when it comes to gym related goals. But of course, stress isn't always preventable. Luckily though, there are ways to make you deal with these daily life situations a lot better, which can actually decrease the chance of producing too much cortisol. Meditation, for example, can be a solid way to get better at handling daily stressful situations. Now, I'm not saying that you should go full hippie mode, but perhaps try a meditation app like Calm or Headspace, which has sessions of about 10 minutes in which you train yourself to keep your mind clear and not constantly overthink everything. I'm personally a big fan of meditation since it allows you to be more calm throughout the day and potentially not stress out as fast as you would perhaps normally do. There, that's better. And of course, which is pretty logical, sleeping good, eating healthy and exercising all help to keep cortisol levels lower as well. Now, the next one might come across as a duh topic, but it gets overlooked way more than you might think. Now, you can train the most effective, most optimal way possible and totally not enjoy your training. Now, this will only increase the chance of you falling off the bandwagon and skipping the gym to do something you actually do enjoy. Now, there are actually lots of ways to make the whole muscle gaining journey a lot more enjoyable. For example, if you always force yourself to eat 100% clean and you're literally stuffing yourself with foods you don't enjoy because you think you have to, try making your diet a bit more flexible by fitting in some foods you really enjoy into your macros. Now, I personally like to follow the 80-20 rule or the 70-30 rule, where you eat 70 to 80% clean, whole, unprocessed foods and fill the remaining 20 to 30% with foods you actually enjoy. Fun fact, eating healthy doesn't necessarily get you more results, since body composition and health are two separate things. You can get shredded while only eating pizza, but you would feel like crap. And you can get fat while only eating rice, chicken and broccoli, but you'd feel healthy. You get where I'm going with this? Same goes for training. If you don't enjoy following an upper-lower split and you really enjoy a bro split, then by all means go for it. As long as it ensures you keep going to the gym consistently, you'll make more progress by simply going consistently than by doing everything optimally and giving up because you despise the process. So these are 5 things to consider applying to your daily routine and gym strategy to build more muscle mass. Alright, what's going on everybody? Thank you all so much for watching the video. I figured it'd be a nice idea to actually cover some unorthodox topics, since a lot of these things get overlooked very quickly, or they're simply just things that people aren't aware of. But these things do tend to make a big difference in the long term in terms of your results and gym performance. Oh, and by the way, as I mentioned in my previous video, I got a new microphone. It's the Blue Yeti microphone. And I'd like to know what you guys think of the quality of the voiceover during the video. So if you would like to let me know, please do in the comments down below. I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something from it. If you did, please be sure to smash the like button, because it really helps out the channel grow and helps spread the video out to a lot more people. Comment down below and subscribe to the channel for so much more content coming really soon. I'm out guys, and peace out. See you in the next one.